Yasya prasada bhagavad prasado yasya prasada nagati kutopi dhayam stuvam stasi yashastri sandhyam vande guru shri charanarvindam Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Shri Gurudev. Before we proceed to text 53 of the chapter Spiritual Masters of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I would like to say a few words on the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple. It is a very common notion that when people start their spiritual journey, they accept somebody in their heart as their spiritual master and then go according to the inner guidance. This is a very good feature. However, one should be very careful as one follows the internal instructions. As one embarks on the spiritual journey, one has to realize that the mind is in a contaminated state and one may not be able to really realize whether the instruction is being provided by the internal guide that one has accepted or is it the mind that is speaking. Hence, one has to accept a physical spiritual master as one embarks on the journey. One can accept many instructing spiritual masters in the mind, like Srila Prabhupada, as many of the followers of Srila Prabhupada have accepted him in the heart as their instructing spiritual master. But as we go along the path, one has to accept an instructing spiritual master in physical form and also accept an initiating spiritual master in the physical form. Accepting an instructing spiritual master is the first step, and from the instructing spiritual master one gets the Harinam Sanskara. But getting the Harinam Sanskara is not enough. As one proceeds and matures on the path of spiritual life, one has to get Diksha, and Diksha means accepting the Krishna mantra and the Radha mantra according to the regulations specified by the Gaudiya Vaishnava system. One who accepts the Krishna mantra as specified in the Gopal Tapana Upanishad and also the Radha mantra, one is considered to have accepted Diksha. Let's now proceed to text 53 of the chapter Spiritual Masters. Text 53. Aham evasham evagre nanyad yatshad asad param paschad aham yat etaccha yo vaishyeta shosami aham. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Prior to the cosmic creation, only I exist and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally. Here, the Lord mentions that He is the source of everything and He exists before anything existed. He would continue to exist as His various expansions exist, and He would continue to exist after everything has been dissolved. Now, there are various schools of thought on which the word I has been discussed. Aham Brahmasmi is one of the sutra that is mentioned in the Shastras, which Mayavadi is considered as their heart and soul. This Aham refers to the personality of Godhead, but many of the followers of various yogic systems consider this Aham to be representation of Brahman. When the Lord says Aham, and usually it is referred with respect to Vishnu, according to the Satvika Shastra or those Shastras which are in the mode of pure goodness. Before all existence, only Krishna existed. There were no Shiva or Brahmas who existed before Krishna. Krishna made all the Devatas exist just to manage the functioning of the material universe. But in the spiritual universe, Only the forms of Vishnus exist. The whole management of Vishnus is carried out by the expansion of Sri Balarama. Hence, the Vaikuntha planets are the most primordial. They are eternal. They have existed since time immemorial and would continue to exist even as the material worlds get created or destroyed. The word Aham has been utilized by the Mayavadis to explain that one itself represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But this is not possible. How can one become God just by a few meditational techniques? In many yogic systems, it has been propounded that if one follows meditational techniques, one can become God. But this is a fallacy. Nobody can become God. When Lord Krishna manifested his childhood pastimes, even as a child of a few days old, he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead who exhibited all the glories of the Supreme Lord. One can never equal oneself to Lord Krishna and become God just by applying some yogic techniques. The Mayavadis proclaim that after getting self-realization, one is equivalent to the Lord. But this is only the deluding potency of Brahman itself. Brahman is that attribute which exists in the material world, and that is the source from where all the living entities emerge. But Brahman itself has got its base on Parabrahman, that is the personality of Godhead. The effulgence of the Lord is called as Brahman, in which millions of living entities exist. One has to impinge the effulgence of the Supreme Brahman to have a view of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the source of Brahman itself, and hence the Lord is called Parabrahman, or one who is beyond Brahman. The aspect of Brahman and the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood by an allegory. The sun itself represents that which is the source of light on this material planet. The sun has three aspects. One is the rays of the sun which spreads light on the material planets. The second is the globe form of the sun which represents the planet sun itself. And one is the personality of sun who is called Vivaswan, who is present in the globe of the sun and who manages the functioning of the sun, that is the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun, and ensures that the management of the material universe is guided properly. Similarly, the Lord represents the aspect of all existence, who is the source of everything. Then there is the Brahman, which is the source of all living entities, which can be likened to the globe of the sun. Then there are the living entities who take birth on the material planet and are available in millions of material planets undergoing the scheme of karma. This can be likened to the rays of the sun which are spread along the material planets. Text 54. Hridayradam yat pratiyata na pratiyate chatmani tad vidyat atmano mayam yata bhaso yata tamha. Translation. What appears to be truth without me is certainly my illusory energy, for nothing can exist without me. It is like a reflection of a real light in the shadows, for in the light there are neither shadows nor reflections. In this verse, the author explains the concept of Maya. Maya means darkness. When any object comes in between the sun and a wall, there are many reflections or shadows that are cast on the wall. Similarly, Maya is a representation of darkness. The play of Maya appears to be very intelligent, and people get engrossed in the Mayic display of material life. But material life is just the perverted reflection of the reality that exists in the spiritual world. The sun represents the absolute truth, and Maya represents the dark shadows caused by interference of Mayic energy. Text 55. Yatha mahanti bhutani bhutesu chaveschava anu pravistani apravistani tatha teshu na teshva aham. Translation. As the material elements enter the bodies of all living beings and yet remain outside them all, I exist within all material creations and yet am not within them. In this verse, the Lord expresses that the material elements are responsible for the construction of the human body or the body of all the living entities. The aspects of fire, water, earth, ether and air exist in all living entities. Yet these material elements are also present outside the body. Similarly, the Lord is responsible for all the creation and He also exists in the hearts of people in the form of Paramatman. Yet He is much beyond the bodies of the living entities and He encompasses the entire creation. Thus, He is present in every individual, yet He is beyond all. Text 56. Etavat eva jignasyam tattva jignasya sunatmanah anvaya vyatireka bhyam yatshat sarvatra sarvada. Translation. A person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always directly and indirectly inquire about it to know the all-pervading truth. It is said in this verse that the person interested in understanding transcendental knowledge should approach anyone who is qualified to give this knowledge. Only a spiritual master who has seen the transcendental truth and has established a relationship with the Lord is qualified to impart such knowledge. There are various categories of people. There are people who are happy to get their bread and butter and who are just interested in satisfying their carnal needs. These people just go on leading the life of animals on the material plane. Then there are these categories of people who are interested in leading fruitive activities, that is, attempting to work in such a way that will give them maximum profit. And such people collect knowledge which is of material in nature. The first type of persons are people in the mode of ignorance. The second type of people are in the mode of passion. Then there are these people who try to understand what is the purpose of existence and what it needs to sustain at all times so that one is happy. And thus they get in search of spiritual knowledge. These are people in the mode of goodness. But the ultimate type of people are those who try to find out what is the source of all existence and what it needs to get beyond the material nature and establish in pure truth. Such people are the people in the mode of pure goodness, and they take the guidance of a spiritual master who can engage them in devotional service. Happiness can be divided into a couple of categories. The first category of happiness is to satisfy the carnal needs and enjoy material life. The second type of relationship that one establishes is establishing peace amongst various living entities on this face of this earth and continue to live a decent material life. The third aspect is to search for the source of our existence and then getting established in Brahman. The most superior category of people are those who want to establish a relationship with the Lord under the guidance of the spiritual master. They establish a relationship with the Lord in one of the four rasas. These rasas are established in the heart of the spiritual seeker in such a way that even if after the annihilation of the material universe, one is transported to the spiritual planet and remains with the Supreme Personality of Lord eternally. Thus, these various categories represent the various types of people who abound the material universe. The four rasas of the spiritual universe are also found in a very perverted manner in the material universe. These rasas still exist in the relationship between mother and child, son and father, friend and friend, and all sorts of sub-relationships which are based on the four rasas of the spiritual universe. The material rasas are temporary and do not give deep satisfaction to an individual. It is to be noted that all the material relationships between man and man is not possible directly. The relationship is based on the Mayic energy, and if one relies on the Mayic energy, it is bound that the relationship in the end will meet with failure. Any relationship on the Mayic plane is not permanent and is bound to undergo changes with time. So it is very important that one surrenders all the emotions in the heart at the feet of the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in bhajana. As one matures in the science of bhajana, it is seen that the Lord gives the emotions of love from his heart to the heart of the seeker. When the seeker establishes a relationship with the Lord in return establishes his relationship with the other living entities in such a way that the bondings are permanent. Two individuals in the material life can remain happy only if they are indirectly related to each other. That is, each living entity has to establish his relationship with Krishna first and thus get engaged with each other. Thus, devotees can live in a very harmonious situation, whereas non-devotees, however close they may be in relationship, they are bound to meet with failure. Text 57. चिंतामणि जयति सोमागिरि गुरुर में शिक्षा गुरुश्च भगवान शिखिपिंच मौलिः यत्पाद कल्पतरु पल्लव शेखरेषु लीला स्वयंवर रसम लभते जयश्री. Translation. All glories to Chintamani and my instructing spiritual master Somagiri. All glories to my instructing spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who wears peacock feathers in his crown. Under the shade of his lotus feet, which are like desire trees, Jayashri or Radharani enjoys the transcendental mellow of an eternal concert. This is an excerpt from the Krishna Karnamrita by the South Indian poet Bilvamangala Thakura. Bilvamangala Thakura existed in the Dravida province. He was overtly attracted to Chintamani, who happened to be a prostitute. Because of his attachment to Chintamani, he broke all religious norms and tried to unite with Chintamani. But Chintamani showed him the path to the Lord by instructing him to go to the forest and look for Lord Krishna, because she said that her body is made of flesh and bones and this cannot really satisfy Bilvamangala even if he continued to keep relationship with her for a very long time. After having insulted Bilvamangala went to Vrindavana after getting initiated by Somagiri, his instructing spiritual master. Bilvamangala is also known as Leela Sukha, who tried to enter the pastimes of Sri Krishna, and he stayed in Brahmakund for a very long time doing his bhajana. Text 58. Jive sakshat nahi tate guru chaitya rupe, shiksha guru haya Krishna mahanta swarupe. Translation. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Supreme Soul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. As one embarks on the spiritual journey and pleads to the Lord to have a vision, the Lord appears in the form of a spiritual master, since the heart of the disciple is still not clean enough to have a vision of the Supreme Lord's personal form. The spiritual master is none other than the Supreme Lord, who appears into the life of the disciple and guides him along in such a way that the heart of the seeker is completely cleansed and the original image of the Supreme Lord as Tribhanga Sundara Krishna appears in the heart of the disciple. Text 59. Tato dusangam utsrijya Shatsur sajeta buddhiman shant evasya chindanti mano vyasangam uktibhihi. Translation. One should therefore avoid bad company and associate only with devotees. With their realized instructions, such saints can cut the knot connecting one with the activities unfavorable to devotional service. When one starts the journey of spiritual life, it starts with the stage of Shraddha. Shraddha means to have a little bit of inclination to understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. With Shraddha, one comes into the contact of realized people or people who are established in Krishna consciousness. They serve as the Vaishnavas who guide the spiritual seeker. This stage is Sadhu Sangha. After Sadhu Sangha, one enters the mode of Bhajana Kriya. The sadhus encourage the spiritual seeker to keep good company. The Vaishnavas encourage the spiritual seeker to chant the holy name and avoid bad company so that the material knots in the heart of the spiritual seeker is cut asunder. The spiritual seeker, by consistently interacting with the Vaishnavas, finds that his heart slowly gets purified. Thus, the stages of Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha and Bhajana Kriya take the spiritual seeker to the next stage of Anartha Nivritti. The stage of Anartha Nivritti indicates that as the spiritual seeker chants the holy name and interacts with the sadhus, the darkness in one's heart is going to be cleansed. Text 60. Satam prasangam mama viryo samvido bhavanti hridkarna rasayana kataha tad jashodanat ashva apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramisyati. Translation: the spiritual powerful message of Godhead can be properly distributed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. Here, the stage of Sadhu Sangha is described. As one interacts with sadhus and remains in their association, they will learn the various techniques in which one could perform devotional service. This will also discourage the spiritual seeker from going against the rules of devotional service and interacting with people who are not conducive to devotional service. As one goes on hearing from sadhus and remains in their association, one can easily develop in their heart a love for Lord. The Lord also inspires the spiritual seeker to take up activities which are suitable for devotional service. As the spiritual seeker continues his journey by interacting with sadhus and performs Bhajana Kriya, the spontaneous love of Godhead is sure to ignite in his heart. Text 61. Ishvara Swarupa Bhakta Tanda Adisthana Bhaktera Hridaya Krishnera Satata Vrishram. Translation: a pure devotee constantly engages in the loving service of the Lord, is identical with the Lord who is always seated in his heart. It is said here that as a pure devotee develops in his maturity in spiritual life, the Lord seats this devotee next to him. The Lord gives such a person his own position in the spiritual world. Such a devotee then becomes a pure devotee. Hari Bol.